Hey everyone, more hypocrisy and bullshit propaganda being put forth by those of the CBC News, and this under the business section with a headline, Canada urgently needs diversity in science, tech, engineering, and math report. Experts say bro mentality is a major barrier for women to enter those fields. So think about that. And we've seen this put forth and presented by these leftists, these collectivists, these feminists, these SJW types in social media, in the halls of academia and the political or ruling class, right? But what strikes me and what should strike you at the same time is, why are they not talking about this stuff when you're talking about healthcare, education, or in the public sector? As we all know, the stats are out there too, right? The statistics speak for themselves. Is in healthcare, it's dominated by women. In the education system, what is it? 8 or 9 teachers out of 10 are female, right? That's a huge, that's a glaring discrepancy, even higher in comparison to some of these STEM fields where women only have a representation of maybe 20-30%. Where's the whine, crying, and complaining about the fact that there's a lack of men representing those fields, right? You're not hearing that at all. I wonder why that is. Well, I'll tell you why it is, because that leads me to the other aspect where it's dominated by females. 71%. So over 2/3, right? In excess of 2/3. 7 in 10 people that work for government, which is a huge portion of the population. What is it? 4.1 or 4.2 million Canadians now work for the government directly, right? So federal, provincial, or local. And 71% of them are all female. But are you seeing this constant outrage or cries of sexism or feminist culture or she culture due to that? No, you're not hearing none of that. And why that is because think about the kind of people that now represent the establishment media. I mean, CBC, a lot of feminists. Probably, actually, I would say the bulk of the people that work for the CBC would be women or self-identified feminists. So where's that backlash against that culture in that crony corporate establishment, right? Or in the education system, the people that are educating your young boys and girls, right? Even in post-secondary education, they dominate in the halls of academia, women, right? So what's going on here? Even actually young students now that are getting degrees are dominantly, not by a huge margin, I think it's just under 60% or so, but women are the ones that are getting all this higher education, not the boys, not the men. So but you're not hearing anyone in the establishment media complain about those fields, complain about the fact that we need equality in any of those fields, right? That's called hypocrisy, folks. That's called political posturing. That's just a snake oil salesman tactic, or an old magician's trick, which we call the sleight of hand. Hey, look over here while I'm fucking robbing you over here, right? I only want you to see what I want you to see. That's basically the kind of narrative, the kind of messaging that I'm getting, and I hope you're starting to understand, starting to reflect on in your own personal observation, in your own personal life, is the only time that these so-called feminists or SJW types or these so-called liberals or progressives, right? The only time they seem to care about anything that even remotely has anything to do with equality is if it means, shackling men, right? Or those who are more competitive as a means to embolden or give preferential treatment to certain other segments of society. But if the situation were reversed, well, who do you think would be out there first and foremost complaining, misogyny, and we're seeing it time and time again. Even in the STEM fields that they're suggesting, it's dominated by men. Well, listen, is it that these employers in these particular fields are all just a bunch of misogynist, sexist, fucking Neanderthal knuckle draggers? Is that what you're suggesting here? Really? Is that what we're going with here now? Like I say, it's all about trying to create some pretense of leveling the playing field, but in reality, that's just cover. That's just a facade for what they really want, which is to take over and dominate every aspect of our social and economic lives. These postmodernists, these cultural Marxists, these feminazis, I call them, are literally seeking to use the power of government and the power of propaganda, the media, right, as a means to an end. It's incumbent and vitally important for those of us that don't fall for these kind of bullshit propagandist narratives to push back against it. I do my job. I do my part every day. I want you to join me and help pushing back and fighting against this kind of bullshit propaganda. I'll post a link to this article in the video of the description below, but I think you understand exactly where this is going. No need to read through this article because we all know where that's going to lead. You'll know as soon as you read it yourself if you choose to do it. It's just a bunch of personal anecdotal experiences that will be aligned with the kind of dominant narrative and propaganda that these leftists, these collectivists, these SJW feminists, control freaks and sociopaths, the kind of shit they want to put forth and present to instill in your psyche, to instill some kind of guilt, whether it's white guilt or male guilt. It's all about trying to give them and their counterparts a leg up against you. It's an ideological battle that in reality, if you choose to participate in it, there's no real winners, really. There is no real winners. Well, I mean, maybe short-term winners, but in the macro aspect, in the big picture, for society at large, it's still just a contribution to that race to the bottom. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.